Hi, this is Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. Welcome back to the Hope to Hope Conference. This is my beautiful co-host,
Coni Meyers with Kick Butt Leadership.
She has been faithfully coming to the Hope to Hope Conference since day one. Not yesterday, day one, but day one all the way back 5 conferences ago.
Right.
So I am very grateful for her for being here. And I have to tell you, this morning is perfect kickoff with someone I adore. And I can't help it. I think I am just smitten with her. I was at a red carpet event and she came walking down the aisle and she seriously was breathtaking. And the part I want to say is that she was breathtaking from the inside, the outside. I mean, everything. And so she's an author. She's a speaker. She teaches like girls in particular amazing things about confidence. And she's a former Miss Black USA. So she is like all that and a bag of chips. Ocielia Gibson.
All right. Hello. Morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you said yes. And I'm so glad it worked out in your schedule. I know that you have been on, the Hope to Hope before, but it was so messy because of like things that were going on with like technology and stuff. So I'm so glad you were able to come and be with us. And actually, like, we get to talk to you the whole time.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you invited me back. So I'm all yours, all yours.
Well, I am really serious about the fact that you are one of the most precious people I have ever met.
Aww.
You have such a heart for others and you serve big. Like, I think that that's the thing that just, you are absolutely gorgeous on the outside. There's no doubt about that.
Aww,
but
you.
I'm smitten with your gorgeousness on the inside because you have such a heart for girls in particular. Like, I would just love for you to tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I know, but I want everybody to know what you are doing in this world.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. I have a ministry and a company. It's a life enrichment company called More Than a Pretty Face International. And it's really geared towards uplifting teen girls and women to really develop the beauty and confidence that God has put inside of them so they can fulfill their dreams and impact the world. So everything that I do, from my speaking, events, workshops, online courses, my book, my Bible study that you mentioned, is all centered around that. Young ladies developing multifaceted beauty, not just one-dimensional beauty, that's the physical, but multifaceted beauty that impacts how they speak, how they treat others, how they behave, their attitude, their mentality, and most importantly, their spirits, how they emanate that and can impact the world and create positive change while fulfilling their dreams and doing that. So I started this years ago. I know many people look at me and think I'm probably like 25, but I've been doing it for about 13 years. I started when I was 19, 20 years old in undergrad. I started mentoring girls, what people would call at-risk girls, at a local high school. I just decided to volunteer my time once a week and develop a mentoring program at that time that was called More Than a Pretty Face, not knowing that it would turn into a ministry and a company that has now impacted girls throughout the U.S. and women and girls in Kenya. So that is how I started. And that is in a nutshell what my mission is and what I help women and teen girls to develop and cultivate so they can fully be who God wants them to be.
Well, I will tell you, I have firsthand experience with you at, like I said, the red carpet, where you were just absolutely, I still think back to your dress even. It was so pretty.
Thank you.
But the thing that was so sweet about you is, we were all on the front row together and we were all up there and you were taking care of everybody. Like you were so precious because you were making sure everybody looked their best and everybody was, confident. You were speaking into other people's lives, and I was one of them. And
Oh,
I just think that you have such a gift with people. Just being good to people.
Well,
And
thank you for that. I don't even remember doing all of that, but I trust that that happened. Since you said that, I don't even remember it. I just remember it was a great event, and I remember meeting you and thinking you were so sweet, and you were really cool, and you were this woman doing all this business stuff, and I was like, she awesome. So I remember meeting you, but thank you. I didn't even know that I was doing that. So thank you so much for letting me know.
oh, you're welcome. I think you're amazing. But going on to what you were talking about, giving them confidence basically from the inside out, giving other women and girls that picture. You demonstrate that picture, but I know the backstory, like
Right.
of why that is such an amazing thing coming from you, because you didn't show up one day, and I hope this is okay to share. You've shared it before, but you didn't show up one day and just be this pageant,
Right.
girl, and everybody goes, "Oh, she's the one." It wasn't like that at all. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of your story is your tenacity. Like, is you understood what you were called to do.
Right.
And you didn't let bad names when you were younger. You didn't let, all the things, all the people that tried to make you feel less than.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't
Right.
let that stop you.
Yes. I mean, I grew up and I still deal with it to a day, but just not as severe as I did when I was younger. I am allergic to literally everything. Like, I am allergic to all types of trees, birch, elm, cedar, and oak trees. I'm allergic to 3 types of grasses: Timothy, Johnson, and Bermuda grass, pollen, cats. I am allergic to so many things. And because of that, I deal with a skin condition and hyperpigmentation where I frequently will break out and have hives and different rashes, and they leave scars. And I don't have to scratch them or anything. I just have hyperpigmentation where if I have a breakout or a hive, it's going to leave scarring on my body. So I grew up my whole life dealing with all of these different hives and scars from different things that I was allergic to. And so I didn't realize this until I was in high school, but I was known by people behind my back as leopard and alligator skin and spotted body girl. And it was so bad. I will tell you, a few years ago, I produced a girls' conference back in my hometown. I'm really from East Texas. I'm originally from a small town in East Texas. And I went home and did this girls' conference and produced this summit for the girls in my city. And one of the girls at the end of the conference came up to me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Ocielia, I never knew your name. All while I was growing up, my older cousins called you Leopard. So when they would see me in the community, like her older cousins would call me Leopard." And so all these years, she never knew my name. And then she was just so excited that she came to my conference and she had a great time. And she was like, "And now I finally know your name." Now, children they're just so honest and they say the darndest things, as people say. So I don't think she was being rude. She was trying to be mean and telling me that. But I think she genuinely was excited. But her telling me that really lets me know how bad it was that people were talking about me behind my back growing up. So I definitely wasn't seen as the beautiful girl. But the thing is, I was raised in a 2-3 generation home with my mother and grandmother, where they instilled a lot of talent and a lot of gifts in me and values into me. So regardless if I wasn't quote unquote the prettiest growing up, my mother still taught me how to carry myself with class. My mother still taught me how to carry myself with my head held high. It really emphasized the importance of education in school. So I always really applied myself with schooling. My grandmother wanted me to play piano. So I started taking pianos at 8 years old and then earned my degree in music. So I played piano for like 20 years. I quote unquote retired when I was 27. But I had all of these other gifts and values and talents and just character traits that my mother and my grandmother instilled into me. about how to treat people, all of those beautiful things. And so when it was time for me to enter into pageantry as a young woman in college, okay, yeah, I had a skin problem, but because I had those other qualities that I had developed, I was talented. I was a bright girl. I was well spoken. I knew how to use my voice. I did know how to carry myself. I just had to learn just the protocol for pageantry and get coached and understand what to do and how to navigate that and fully develop myself so that once I was able to start competing, I was able to excel. So just because you start your life one way doesn't mean that God can't do exceedingly above what you could ever imagine and really platform you to another level. So that's exactly my story.
Wow. What a great story.
And there's more to that story, though, too, that you didn't win the first time.
Oh, no.
That was another thing that you just, like, these are the things that make me just admire you. It's not the fact that you were, like, actually crowned, which is a huge thing. But what makes me so, like, I don't know, I love you for the fact that you didn't let name calling, you didn't let, skin scarring, you didn't let stop you. You didn't let anything stop you from doing what you felt on the inside that you were supposed to do. And the reason was so you could serve. Like, it's not even something you did so that everybody would brag on you. That's what makes me, oh my goodness.
No, I think when I initially started doing pageants, I was a junior in high school when I did my first pageant. And I just thought it was something fun at first. I was like, oh, I like to dress up. This will be fun. I want to wear an evening gown. But a couple of years into it, so probably, I can't remember if I was 19 or 20, around the same time that I started mentoring girls in the community, when I started my ministry, God woke me up in the middle of the night and he gave me a strategy. Oh. He woke me up in the middle of the night and told me that I would win titles in different cities and states, and laid it on my heart that I would do that to reach girls in those cities and states, that me having a crown on my head was going to open doors for me that I wouldn't have opened without that crown on my head. So I would use being Miss XYZ as an opportunity to get into schools and to get into events to reach more young ladies. And he particularly showed me that also specifically dealing in the African-American community, I would use the Miss Black USA system as an opportunity to specifically get to influence girls that look like me, that need that inspiration and that role model in the Black community. So God showed me that at 19, 20 years old. So when I went into my pageant career early on, I had a bigger vision than getting the crown. The crown was great, but it was just going to be a means to gain more influence and access to really inspiring and helping girls that need to hear the message that God was giving me. He laid that on my heart as a very young woman.
Well, and a lot of people, I hope, that are listening to this understand the amazingness of the strategy part. Like, it was definitely something that was well-deserved, because you are definitely, such a representation of really, and I know that it was like you're saying that for your color, and all of that, and I'm telling you, you are such an inspiration to all girls.
Yes.
It is not something that's easily accomplished either. It's not something that you wake up one day and you decide you're just going to do this. No,
that's true. It took me 3 tries to win Miss Black Texas. Wow. 3 tries. I was second runner-up 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And so it was hard to go back that 3rd year. So really my competition career spanned from when I was a junior in high school at 17 until I was Miss Black USA at 27. And I was finishing my year.
Oh, no. I know that she will be back. We are having technical difficulties this morning. So, Ocielia, if you hear me, she'll come back in just a second.
She comes.
Hey, Beck. Hey, Christy. Hey, Tamisha. Okay.
I don't know what happened there, but okay, I'm back.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
it took me 10 years. It took me 10 years to reach the goal of being Miss Black USA, to get a national crown, right? And so it was difficult, especially when I was trying to win Miss Black Texas, and it took me 3 attempts. It was really difficult to go that third time. It was really difficult. But I'm so glad that I did go that third time and eventually won, and that allowed me to go to nationals and win. So it just takes perseverance. I mean, you have to know that this is something you're supposed to do. If you don't feel it deep inside that you know this is for you and you're supposed to do this, you'll easily give up. But you really have to have that knowing deep down inside to keep pressing through, regardless of the obstacles. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy because you know you're supposed to do it, but it's what's going to drive you where you just cannot give up if you really have that knowing deep down inside and that vision that you believe that this is a part of my destiny.
Well, what a great role model you are for any young girl, because young girls, that they, first of all, they don't have the confidence typically to even begin to do something like what you've done, but to show them that not only can you do it, but you can win. But it does take perseverance, because so many of our young, not just girls, but our young people, they might try something once and then they say, oh, well, I can't do it, I guess. And they go on.
Right.
And I think perseverance is so important. I don't care how old you are. You need to have perseverance and stick to it if it's something that truly is in your heart.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is key. And so that's why it's important to follow the dream that is in your heart. Not what you see what other people are doing on social media, not what you think is the trend right now, what is not necessarily what is the most profitable thing to do, but truly, what is my unique path? What is my unique dream? And then that's what will be eventually be successful for you, because there's so many people doing the same thing. It's so saturated with everyone being carbon copies of one another. But what we need in the world, in the marketplace, is people who are distinctly and uniquely themselves, offering something that only they uniquely can offer, and going forward with that in the way that only you can do it.
I think you just preached a whole sermon right there, just saying. I love the host strategy thing, though, because, we go into things sometimes, like into business in particular, without the strategy of gaining the access we need. Mm-hmm. And I love the strategy of, your crown gave you access, your title gave you access. And that is something that is really, really important to understand why we are titled, or why we need certain kinds of titles.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge proponent of, if you do not need to go to college for 12 years to do what you want to do, then just start doing what you want to do. I'm a proponent of whatever you're called to do, that's the thing you need to do. Don't follow the masses and do what everybody else is doing. But I'm also a huge proponent of, if that's what you need to do that so that you can get on with it, so that you can get that access you need to do to serve. I still think it comes back to serving.
That's right.
And you said that, when it doesn't pay as well, like that was something, like your goal was not tied to the money side. But I feel like that is some of the best advice you can give someone, is that business, and whether it's a ministry or nonprofit or a business for profit, still is a business.
Right.
So you still have to operate in that, but both should be serving and filling a need. And I'm telling you, there's no one on this planet that can pay me as much as God can.
Wow. I love it.
He's the best rewarder of us doing diligently, not accepting the no's, not, taking our pride. I know you had to shelve your pride when you went back another time. I mean, you had to shelve the pride of our egos, because I've been told no about things too. And I think, okay, do I just lick my wounds and, go on with life, or do I really do what he's calling me to do? And I think you're just such a beautiful example of that, an example of you know, being who you are meant to be, no matter what anyone else is saying.
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of what I teach young ladies, because when we're talking about confidence building, well, I teach it to young ladies and women. I always start with identity, because it's in levels. So first you have to know who you are. And then once you know who you are, self-esteem is not an issue. Because we try to teach self-value or self-esteem. That's what it is, the value you place on yourself. But you can't value yourself if you don't know yourself. So I always start with them with what you were just saying. You really have to understand who you truly are, your uniqueness. Then you can value yourself. Then you can go out into the world and really create something, really deliver something that helps people, because you know the value of what you're bringing into the world. And then you can be confident. You can trust your abilities and have faith in what you're providing. So that is key. That is the foundation of all of it, having a healthy sense of identity and truly understand who you are so you can understand the value of it.
Well, and I think you are like amazing on another level. See, I just keep finding different ways that you're amazing. Sorry. But I think you're also amazing that in the face of, the money, the huge money is not there yet. The crown's not there yet. The things that, you might enjoy today that you did not enjoy then, you still keep going for the end result. You still had that vision of the access that you needed to do what you were called to do. And you still had that strategy in place. And I think so many people who are in business lose sight of why they're in business, why they're in ministry, why they're doing what they're doing, because it does get what I call fleshy. It starts to hurt your feelings, and it starts to hurt your pride, and it starts to hurt, even your pocketbook. It starts to hurt those things. Well, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. But I think that's part of the process. It's just part of that adventure that, we are given the opportunity, I think, to create that message behind the scenes before we get there to deliver it.
Right. Yes, because what you're able to give to people will come from those personal lessons that you have learned. Absolutely.
And your character is probably the most stunning part. I guess that's the thing that I saw of you moving down that aisle, because, and I've had chances to talk to you over the last few years, and you were always consistently the same sweet, very smart, beautiful girl. And I don't mean to just like call you a girl, because I know you're a grown woman, but I'm so much older. I can be so.
It's okay. I find it a compliment, because a lot of people think I'm younger than what I am. So I will take that as long as I can.
That's the right attitude.
That's right.
Right. I'll take it. I'll accept it as long as I can. It's fine.
Well, if there's mamas out there listening and they have teenage girls, or they have, young girls even coming up, or boys, really, for that matter, because I know you concentrate on the girls because you relate to them and that's who you're called to, but I also know you can impact the boys.
Yes.
What would you say, because this is about hope today, what would you give them, the mamas, instructions or, help or tips or whatever you want to call it, to help their kids actually do what their kids are called to do? Not what we want to put on them.
Wow.
But what would you say to them about how they can help them do what they're supposed to do?
Wow. I think something I do with when I am coaching, when I work with girls and parents and things of that nature, is I really talk to them about monitoring their conversations in the vicinity of their children. So for instance, again, this goes back to more of a girl thing, but for instance, as women, we have to monitor when we're around younger women and other women, but especially younger women because they're more impressionable, how we speak about beauty in front of them. So whether we are talking about ourselves, like, oh, my thighs are so fat. Oh my goodness, this dress. Oh, the way we talk about that, girls are getting cues on what is a too fat thigh. They're getting cues on, oh my gosh, a dress, it's too small for me. They're getting cues on that. On if I'm this size like mom, oh my gosh, then that means I'm too big. They're getting cues from you on, oh, she's so thin and beautiful. Oh, so thin is beautiful. And if I'm not that, I'm not beautiful. They are absorbing that. They are absorbing that. So being careful about our conversation, in particular to beauty, but even just what a woman can do, I would say is important when you're talking to young ladies, and not to degrade a woman, not to disparage any other woman in her presence, because then she learns that gossip and talking about a woman in leadership, talking poorly about her behind her back, criticizing another woman, that is what women do when they get together. She's learning that. She's learning those patterns. So that's very critical. When it comes to boys, I feel that you have to champion boys to be leaders in the way that you speak to them, just like you champion girls. But what I notice with a lot of boys coming up in, like I would say, junior high, early high school, is it seems like they are becoming more passive than years past. More passive and more concerned with like social media and even how they deal with young ladies. Girls are so accessible to them through sexting, through soft porn, hardcore porn, through just social media images, that they're objectifying women. And so I think in respect to them and who they can be and how they deal with women, really champion them to be the leaders and not to follow the pack of their friends, and monitoring their media consumption. That goes for both genders. Monitoring media consumption, but especially with boys, is so easy for them to fall into the trap of objectifying women because of where the culture is. And it's the boys, to be honest, boys are exposed to pornography as early as 7 years old nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah.
7 years old?
On average.
On average.
Just a click and scroll. Just a click and scroll. And not only does it damage their perception of young women, but it does damage to their brains. But I don't have time to go into all of that. But it does damage to them in a number of ways. So monitoring their media consumption and really challenging them to be leaders and what they can be called to be as men. Because I'm noticing a lot of passivity, and I'm not sure if this is the link, but I'm noticing a lot of passivity with the media consumption. Like they're just sitting back and they just want to scroll and look at things in video games all the time, not really get out. Whereas boys back in the day would go outside and play. They would engage in sports. They would engage in Legos or whatever. Like, they would do things. So I'm seeing them not doing as much. And with younger ladies, they're dealing with what I was saying earlier about women monitoring how they speak about women in front of them, appearance anxiety. That is a real thing. Not just anxiety, but appearance anxiety. So as we talk to our daughters and we talk to girls, just monitoring how we talk about ourselves and other women, and praise them in the presence of other people. That's very key. Praise them directly, and they need to hear you praise them in the presence of other people. So those would be my tips.
That's great advice. That's great advice.
Great advice. Yes. And I would love to get you connected with Young Pratt. She was on yesterday, and we did an interview with her about, she is actually teaching families how to go from fighting over their technology and their devices and helping empower parents to include the kids into like podcasting and together as a family, so that they still get to have the technology, but it's definitely monitored and it's definitely purpose. So you would be such a great connection, the two of you.
Oh, yes, I would love to, because I love media. No offense against social media and technology, but when it's in the hands of young people, you really have to guide it. You really have to guide it, because it's so easy for them to go, and adults to go down the wrong path using it, but especially for young people whose brains are still developing. And they're not fully matured yet. It's just so easy. They're prey on those devices and in the technological world.
Well, that's such a good advice, though, especially if you have young kids and you still have opportunities to set that up in a different way than what like you think it has to be. Like giving a little 2 or 3 year old, 4-year-old a tablet to just do whatever without any filters or anything. Yeah. I think that's crazy, because you don't have any idea what's on there.
Right. You have to monitor it. You have to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just incredible advice for parents. Yeah. I'm actually very grateful that my kids are grown and have kids, and I'm now a great grandmother. I can't imagine trying to be a parent today with all of the technology and everything that you can monitor. I mean, I my hat off to any parent out there today, for sure.
And Beck is a friend of mine from Australia, and she's on with us right now, and she's saying her oldest boy is about to turn 3, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It starts a lot younger. They're exposed a lot younger than what people realize. A lot of people do not realize this, how easily accessible it is nowadays. Whereas years ago, you had to go to the adult store to access this type of stuff. Now, it's just, all you have to do is go on Instagram and you can fall down a rabbit hole. Google. You can get on any website and a pop-up can occur, an ad can occur. And they think it's a game, but it's really introducing them into pornography. And so it's so easily accessible now. So parents have to monitor it. And I even tell parents, if their kids have their own phone, that they need to set a curfew for the phone and put the phone, like, so whether it's 10 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever the time is, 9 p.m., no more phone. You turn in your phone, and the parents put it in either a locked or a safe space in their bedroom. The kids do not need to sleep on the phone. They do not need to have their phone late at night. There's a certain time that you need to take up that phone, and it needs to be in your possession where the kids cannot get it, in your bedroom.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that's really great advice.
And then when curfew is over, the next day, you have your phone access again. But yes.
I can tell you, I'm 51, and I have learned not to shop in the evening, because I'm a morning girl, and in the evening I make bad choices on just what to buy. Like, I will buy something more than what I really need, because I'm tired and making not great decisions. And so even knowing that about me as a grown-up, an old grown-up, I think kids don't have that capability of understanding that, the bad decisions. And if they're tired on top of that,
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So curfew isn't just for going out. It should be for their phones as well. That's what I recommend to parents. And I mean, we can learn a lot as well, because I mean, there's still a lot of phone safety, personal awareness and etiquette for using technology and social media that women, that adults need as well. I mean, there's a set of things that are particular to young people, but as adults, we need to have more personal awareness. We need to have more boundaries. We need to understand the etiquette of social media. I talk about that when I teach etiquette, and you have to talk about social media etiquette now. Previous years, teaching etiquette, it was all about knives and forks. But now it's about it's identity and esteem. I started there, but then how does that relate to how you navigate and show up in the world, even your social media? So this is a conversation that has to be had in all respects now, how we are navigating and dealing with technology and social media.
Wow. You are just amazing. I just rest my case. You just proved
You're so sweet.
World that I'm right.
You are so sweet. You all are amazing.
Well, we are out of time, and I hate that part because I could like listen to you another hour. I am so proud of the work that you're doing and so excited. We're here for you. We want to help you get that message out. So
Oh, thank you.
We need more people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and likewise.
Well, thank you so much. And this is a really big deal to me. This conference came from the loss of my son.
Yeah.
17 years ago. And I mean, I know you know that, but I want to make sure anyone listening remembers that we don't have to take those losses or those name calling events or the times we've been told no, or we don't have to take any of those things and stop there. We can pick up from there and go on and win a crown and do a conference and do things to impact this world. So thank you for not giving up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bless you all. Thank you all so much. That's very encouraging.
Well, this is Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. We are definitely here to help you create sexy businesses for sexy lives. And on this conference, we are here to help you find hope in those times when sometimes we just go through things that are hard to find hope. And that's what this whole conference is about.
Absolutely.
My beautiful co-host,
Coni Meyers with Kick Butt Leadership.
And I are excited. Thank you again, Ocielia Gibson. We will put a link in there so that you can follow her and see what amazing stuff she can do for you too. We will be back at 10:30. And I'll be honest, I have been so enthralled with this, I forgot who's even coming up next. But at 10:30 Central Standard Time, we will be back. So thank you guys for being with us.
All right. Bye-bye.